So in this video, we're going to be building routes with Angular 2. And before we start, I want to show you how to pull a repository from GitHub and how to install the application just for future reference. So we're working here. This is my master branch. If you go over to the branches, you'll see this is the last branch that we left off on. So let's go ahead and work from here, and all you need to do is click this button right here, and then you can go ahead and copy that URL and then go over to your command line. Then I'm just going to say git clone and then paste that URL. Okay, and it's going to go ahead and copy all of the files. And then afterwards you need to change directory into the folder, which is going to be exactly as the name of the application. Okay. Now the first thing you'll need to do is npm install to install all the main node dependencies. Afterwards, you need to change directory into the client folder and do the same for the Angular application. Npm install. Okay, afterwards you want to go ahead and run ng build inside of the Angular application folder, which is the client folder in our case. Okay, then you want to back out into the main root and then run node mon index.js, or you can just type in node index.js. Okay, and you should be listening on port 8080 and connected to the database. Then go ahead and refresh your application and make sure everything is working. Alright, and so here we are. This is back where we left off. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave that running, but I'm going to go ahead and open up the Angular development server. Okay, so go into the Angular side, type in ng-serve. Okay, once that's done, then the Angular 2 development server is running, so you just want to change this from 8080 to 4200. Okay, and you should see the same thing, only now we're live reload and development mode. Alright, okay, and then we're just going to run a quick search of the Angular 2 router. And you want to go ahead and click this first link here. And this is going to tell you everything that you're going to need to set up the routers. Now this base href is already set up in the application, so we won't need to do that. Okay, now if you scroll down to the router imports, this is what you'll need in order to implement Angular route. So we'll copy that, and then we'll go back into our code editor and into our Angular side. And so inside the source folder application, we want to create a new file, and we'll name it Angular. We'll say app routing.module.ts. Okay, and then we'll just go ahead and paste that in there. Now what we're going to do is go into the main module, and we're basically going to copy this because it's going to be very similar used here for the Angular router. Okay, only we're not going to need any of these. Okay, now in order to use the ng module, we will need to import this as well. So let me go ahead and paste that up here. Okay, now then we need to go ahead and change this class because it's not going to be the same as the main module. So we'll just name it app routing module. And so now what we can do is we can import this into our main configuration. So just right above here, we'll say import from we actually don't need that .ts there. Okay, and then we just need to add it as an import down here since it is a module, and we'll hit save on that. Okay, and then before we start building out these routes, what we need to do is first create some components, right? Or in other words, pages, so that we can link up the router, okay? And so before we do that, what I want to do is go over to the index, and I want to import Bootstrap, very popular framework here. And we're just going to import this really quick so we have something to work with. Alright, and so we have our CDNs here, and I'll just copy this top one here and paste it at the top of our application. And then going back, I want to copy the JavaScript and paste that down here. And lastly, we're also going to need jQuery. And so I'll just grab this one right here. And then I'll just paste that right above the Bootstrap. Okay. Now you should notice that your application resembles the Bootstrap now. You'll see the font changed. And so we're going to go ahead and start building the navigation. So if you go back over to the Angular 2 CLI, we have our commands here, and if you go down, this is how we generate our components, routes, and everything that we need, right? So we built the route from scratch, so we don't need that, but we're going to do the generate component. Okay, so we'll go back into our terminal and make sure you are in the Angular side, and you'll need to go into app. Actually, I think it's source and then app. Once we're inside of app, what I want to do is actually want to make a new folder, and I'll name it components. Then I'll go into that folder. So then we type in ng generate component. And you could also just say ng for short. And we'll name this component, we'll say navbar. Okay, and you'll see it created all of these files here, so we can go back into our editor. Here's our folder components and our navigation component. Now if you go into your, I can close this out now actually, into your main app module file, you'll see here that it automatically imported that component, and you should see it here in your declarations as well. It's going to do that automatically with any component that you create. Now if you do create the component from scratch, which you don't really need to, you're really just wasting your time if you do that. But if you ever do, what you'll need to do is add it here, import it, and add it to your declarations. Okay, then I'm going to open up my nav component. Okay, then I'm going to go back over to the Bootstrap website and click on getting started, and then I'll go over to the examples, and I'm just going to grab a nav bar from this example. Right, and you do that by pressing Control U, or you can right click and hit View Source. And I'm just going to copy their navigation bar. And I'm going to paste it here. And I'm just going to make a few minor edits of my own. I'm going to change this to navbar default. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to break this up into two sections. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead. First, I'm going to delete this drop down. I don't need that. I'm going to take these two links, cut them out, and create a list right below this one and paste those in there. Now this top list, I'm going to add navbar left, and then for this second one down here, it's going to be navbar right. Okay, so before we implement the navbar, what we need to do is, if you go back over to the Angular website, we need a way in order to display routes, okay? And this is similar to ngView for AngularJS. So we'll just copy this, okay? And the place where you want to paste this is in your app component.html, which holds holds the majority of your application, right? And I'm actually going to put this inside of a div with the class container. Again, this is Bootstrap here. And then now if we go back to our navigation component, right, it tells you here that whatever's in this HTML file, which is our navigation that we created, it's going to be displayed into this selector. Okay, so I'm just going to copy that, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to paste that above this container, right? So in other words, above the view, whatever route is loaded, I'm going to have that above. The reason for that is because I want the navigation to be displayed at all times, no matter which route we're on. Okay, so we just paste that just like that, and then hit save. Okay, we're not quite done yet. In order for our router to work, there's a few other things that we need to add. It's actually quite simple, and I should have done this before, but I missed it. So going back over to the Angular website, we need to, export this. Okay, so we'll just copy that and add it into our exports, which we don't have yet, but we'll just add it. We'll say exports. And add that in there. Then if we go back, we'll also need this import right here. Okay, and we'll just copy it and use it just as it is. Okay, and so what it's trying to pass in here is all of our routes, which we haven't built yet. Okay, and so let's go ahead and build our first route. And so we can just do that right above here. And going back over to the Angular website, they actually have exactly what one looks like. So I'm just going to copy that, okay, and paste it there. Now, this first object, and so just so you know, this is an array of objects, each object being each route. Now, this first object is the default, right, the home page. And we're going to inject a component there later. Now the second one, the 2 asterisk marks, that means whenever there's a route that's accessed that's not defined, right? So if users just type in, like say for example we have /heroes, well if they type in /heroes123 for example, they'll be redirected to whatever component here. Okay, so we're gonna comment that out for right now because we haven't created that. Okay, I'm just gonna fix this up a little bit. We actually don't need this right here. And I'm going to add a component. For right now, I'm going to leave it blank because we haven't created any components yet to inject here. Okay, so what we need to do is go ahead and generate our first component. Or actually our second, but our first page. So going back, make sure that you are in the components folder. And we'll say ngg component, and we'll say home. And this will be our home page. So now we can import that component here, and we'll say, if you go into the component, you'll see the name of the class that you're exporting here. So we'll just import that from components home. Okay, so now we can inject that. Let's see, what did I do wrong here? Oh, okay. There we go. Okay, and I'm going to inject that component right here. All right, there we go. All right, now if you go inside the actual home, you'll notice this is what it looks like. I'm just going to change this up a bit and add some Bootstrap. Home route. And I'm going to add a class of page header. Okay, now if you hit save on that and you open up your application, it should automatically already be on the home page because that's what we specified. Okay, and then you see here is our nav bar with all of our links, right? So let's go ahead and add a little bit more to this. Now what I want to do is I want to go ahead and enable this, and you want to make sure that this is always last, otherwise it will conflict with your routes. So I'm going to change this. and say any other path is going to redirect to the home page. So let's go ahead and try that out really quick. I'm just going to type in / something. And you'll see no matter what I do, it takes us back to the home page. Okay, and I just want to add one more component, and that's going to be ngg component dashboard. And then we'll go ahead and open that up. And I'm going to copy this. Okay, and then I'm going to add that route right here. Oops. Oops, actually don't need a slash there. So let's go ahead and make sure this works. I'm going to go ahead and type in / dashboard. Okay, and you should see your dashboard page there. Go back in and change it really quick, and I'm going to say same thing, dashboard route, just so that I know. Okay, looks a little better there. And then I'm just going to add that link up here. Okay. Now, you'll notice if you click this link, nothing happens. Well, actually, and you get an error, but I'm going to explain a little bit how you have to do this. You have to add a few things here in the navigation. So let's go ahead and close this out. And we're going to go into our navigation component, right? Our configuration file. Or actually not the component, well, not the TypeScript file, but the HTML file. Okay, now first let's go ahead and change this home and the Bootstrap theme to link to home as well. Now going back to the Angular, if you search router link, this is what we're going to be using, right? We're going to be using router link here. So all you need to do is just type in router link along with the route. So let's go ahead and do that really quick. I'm actually going to copy this. And so you don't need this anymore. And then /home. Okay. Copy that. I'm going to paste it for this one. I'm also going to paste it for this one. I'm going to change this to dashboard. Dashboard. So you want to make sure that you do this in the list element. Okay, so we'll do it for home first, and so we'll say router link active Then we'll also add router link active options. Exact true. Now if you hit save on that and you go back to the window, you'll see our home is automatically active there, and if we click away, it goes away, but now we just need to add it to the other ones. So we'll just do that really quick, copy this. Okay, then I'm just going to verify this worked. There you go. All right. Okay, I'm just going to change this nav bar up a little bit. Add a couple here. Instead of contact, this is going to be profile, blog, login, log out, and register. Okay, and so we're going to be building on those later on. Okay, so we're pretty much done. I'm just going to add something to this home route here. You don't have to type this from scratch. The link will be in the description, but I just want to add some styling to this home page. So I'm going to go over to the home element, the HTML page, and paste all of this in here. Okay, then I'm going to go over to back to my navigation. I actually want to change this Bootstrap theme. Change this to mean stack blog. Okay. If we go back over, and this is what you should have now. All right, and that's it for this video. Thanks for watching.